Welcome everybody to episode 6 of AWT, Andrew's Wrestling Talk, where I bring you the news and reviews of wrestling around the southwest and a little bit more going up towards the country. So, as always, I will start the show off, as I always do, with Fight Nation Wrestling that you can watch on YouTube and FightNationWrestlingOnline.com. Wednesday Night Wrestling, which will also be on tonight as well. Bearing in mind they are showing, I think tonight could be the last one for the rest of the year, and there will be no more until February. It's a bit of a shame really, but anyway, let's take this from here. So last week on Wednesday Night Wrestling we were presented by Lord Gideon Gray, sponsored by Lord Gideon Gray, and special guest MC Lord Gideon Gray. Well, great night. It was a great show. We were there, AWT, me, my wife and my children. Fantastic show as always. So we were started here on Wednesday Night Wrestling with the debut of Robert Sharp versus the Wonder Kid, Johnny Storm. Now, as I said, this was the debut of Robert Sharp here in Fight Nation. Johnny Storm looked like personally he wanted Lord Gideon Gray, out of anything he wanted Lord Gideon Gray, but he ended up with the debut of Robert Sharp. So early on into this match, Steve Linsky got involved almost pretty quickly in this contest, with Storm throwing him into Sharp as a distraction, and then I believe Sharp tried to do the same thing. But it was reversed by Storm into a little cowboy dance around that threw Steve Linsky back and clothesline Sharp to the ground. Fantastic. Always love a bit of action there from Steve Linsky. Fantastic. But a little bit more on into this match. Robert Sharp took very much control into this match, blocking out the fact that everybody in the pavilion was calling him Sharpie. Thanks for that, Lord Gideon Gray. If you hadn't have said anything, people wouldn't have shouted it. That is the point then. But we did see some awesome moves by Johnny Storm, hitting the Wonder Kick and a moonsault off the second rope, hitting a pin, but only a 2 count on Sharp. He does go for it again, Johnny Storm. He does go for another moonsault off the second rope. He misses, but he lands on his feet. Somehow along this way, Steve Linsky had been distracted again, and the backwards low blow from Robert Sharp gets him his debut victory over Johnny Storm in Fight Nation. His finishing move as well that he hit there at the end was called the Destruction. A little bit like Cesaro's Neutralizer. Is that what he calls it? The Neutralizer? If I'm wrong, let me know here on AWT. Give me a little message on Facebook. I'm sure it's the Neutralizer. But anyway, yeah, he hit the Destruction, which is very much the same move. Anyway, what a great start there for Robert Sharp there in his debut of Fight Nation. I give it to him there. It's always good to win your debut match. I mean, Wes Briscoe didn't win his debut match in Fight Nation. Anyway, a little bit more on here now into the show. We had tag team match Liquid Dreams versus Savvy Sid Scala and Lightning Lewis Howley. Fantastic. This is the second time I got to see these two fight in the ring. These two teams. I believe it's match 3. The first time it was a 2-on-1, Savvy Sid Scala versus the Liquid Dreams, and Lightning Lewis Howley comes out and helps him, and they win the match. And then I believe that was episode 6, and then on episode 7, it's the tag team match again, but this time Liquid Dreams win, so that means it's 1-1. So we're here towards the end of Fight Nation for this season, and we're in for the third match, Liquid Dreams versus Savvy Sid Scala and Lightning Lewis Howley. Now, Liquid Dreams come out with their manager, Hot Chocolate Ricky Swan. Now, bear in mind, he is only supposed to be out there to, observe and give support to Liquid Dreams. It is looking like it's going to end up to be a 2-on-3 or 3-on-2 match, sorry. But that ain't going to stop Sid Scala and Lightning Lewis Howley. Believe me, these two have really come together as a great tag team over the last so many weeks here in Fight Nation. And what a great match we did have on this card, in this contest as well. Fantastic all the way through, lots of 2 counts, and some great moves hit there by Lightning Lewis Howley there with a flipping senton, but only a two count. I think it's on Brucey. You have to go back and watch it on Fight Nation on YouTube and fightnationonline.com. Do it. That's right. And the Liquid Dreams do take control in this match with the third man getting involved here, with Swan getting involved, choking at Sid Scala on the middle rope. Really isolating here Sid Scala now in this match. But eventually Sid Scala does get that much needed tag to Lightning Lewis Howley. Believe me, I was there, sat there front row. This was an epic tag team match all the way. That's the perks of getting your front row seats there. That's the one. Also, this as soon as Lightning Lewis Howley had got his tag in, he hits a cracking suicide dive straight over, smashing Swan and Brucey to the ground, leaving Jakey in the ring on his own. He gets back in the ring, he tags back in Sid Scala, and again it gets turned back around with the extra man coming back in with Swan. This time Jakey is distracting the referee. Swan gets into the ring with Brucey. Brucey is there holding Sid Scala, and Swan goes for the punch, misses because Sid Scala like shifts out of the way type of thing, and he punches Brucey right in the Bruceys. That's right, which just took them out completely out of the match. Sid Scala then and Lightning Lewis Howley hit the double low blow as the referee is telling Swan to get out of the ring and you have been ejected from the pavilion. So they hit the double low blow. Sid Scala climbs up and hits that much needed top rope big splash to get the 1, 2, 3 on Jakey and the Liquid Dreams. It's all over, and Sid Scala and Lightning Lewis Howley have now made it 2-1 against the Liquid Dreams. Fantastic, and don't forget that you can always watch Fight Nation on YouTube and Fight Nation online. I think it's about 7 o'clock. Don't forget to tune in tonight. You want to be watching that. Now their next live event is the season finale. I'm not sure if it's going to be on Wednesday Night Wrestling. It's on the 19th of November. They have former WWE superstar and former TNA World Heavyweight Champion Drew Galloway. They're all supposed to have PJ Black as well, but he's got an injury with breaking both of his ankles, if you've ever seen that. Anyway, but that's the end, that's the last show for the rest of the year with Fight Nation Wrestling. Now, they come back next year in February, on the 10th in Canterbury, on the 11th in Eastbourne, and on the 12th in Weymouth, and PJ Black, aka Justin Gabriel, will be there also for Fight Nation Wrestling. So another great company that I always encourage you guys to watch is WCPW on Saturday nights on YouTube. What Culture Pro Wrestling. And this week we know that there was a main event of Joseph Connors defending the WCPW Heavyweight Championship against none other than Cody Rhodes. Now, if Cody Rhodes wins, he will be defending the WCPW Championship against none other than the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle at True Legacy, which is their next pay-per-view. Also, if Connors wins, then he will be defending the title against Joe Hendry, also at True Legacy. So they started this with their first match, which was a women's divisions match. Kimberly versus Little Miss Roxy And straight into this match, it didn't last very long, with Kimberly hitting a round of German suplexes, smashing her with a power bomb, and pretty much that was the end of the match. Little Miss Roxy did get a little bit of offense through the match, but not too much. The match ended very, very quickly, and Kimberly went out to the outside of the ring to grab a chair, went in to attack Roxy with the chair, but Nixon comes down, stops her from doing that. But because she done that, she ends up getting a smash with the chair behind the back. And now you can definitely see here that Kimberly wants a shot at that championship, and Nixon. So match 2 also Travis Banks versus Martin Kirby. Also hashtag justice for Kirby after what happened at Refuse to Lose. Travis Banks didn't even let Martin Kirby get into this match. He let him get in the ring and let him do his little taunt little thing for him to just attack him from behind anyway and take complete control in this match. Taking the mickey out of Martin Kirby by trying to do his move on the second rope, with only Martin Kirby to kick him down and smashing him down onto the canvas. It was a very, very back and forth match, and I tell you what, I love Martin Kirby. He is fantastic in the ring. He hits him with a smashing sable bomb for the 1-2-3 and a victory over Travis Banks. Also, match 3 was Primate versus Rampage. I got really not a lot to say about this match because it's just two huge blokes really fighting it out, two full-on brawlers. And I tell you what, it went outside the ring, all the way around the ring. Referees got knocked out, and the match didn't even finish. I can't see why. They could have sent another ref down, but by the looks of things, it got too much. The security came down, even guys from the locker room came down to break them all up. What a scrap! Funny as anything though. Brilliant. Check it out on WCPW on YouTube. Episode 14. I think we're right now. Something like that anyway. Anyway, match 4 was El Ligero, the WCPW Internet Champion, teaming up with El Desperado to go against Prince the Men and Kid. Gabriel Kidd. His loyal servant, Gabriel Kidd. Anyway, this was pretty much just a 2-on-1 match, as Desperado didn't want to get into the ring or even stand on the side for a tag for El Ligero to tag in and out. That wasn't going to stop El Ligero. He pretty much took this match on his own pretty well. But El Desperado did get involved on some outside activity. Also, towards the right at the end of the match, he comes in, he smashes the men with a low blow, and then the Mexican Waves from El Ligero for the 1-2-3. Victory over Gabriel Kidd and Prince the Men. Brilliant. But the main event, match 5, was the WCPW World Heavyweight Championship. It was Joseph Connors defending the title against Cody Rhodes. What a quality match this was. Plus Joe Hendry was sat at commentary also, with him really not very happy still over what Joseph Connors has done to him over the past, attacking him. They used to be a tag team, and Joseph Connors having this new attitude. Mind you, I've seen this attitude from Joseph Connors before at Fight Nation. Mind you, they are all taped, so that's the way that they do these things nowadays, isn't it? Now Connors is really on a winning streak here and got some huge momentum going into this match against Cody Rhodes. But Cody Rhodes, he is one full-on show-off. Loving the crowd. Every time the crowd chants for him, he don't half-handed to the crowd. You gotta love it though. He's only pushing his career more, and he's now getting to be who he wants to be, which is great. And that's what we love to see from guys that come over here and getting to be who they want to be. We've seen some great moves like an awesome reverse suplex from Cody Rhodes. He just held him there for a couple of minutes. Fantastic. but towards the end of this match, it got backwards and forwards. By the time we got towards the end of this match, we were outside of the ring, and Joseph Connors pushes Cody Rhodes into Joe Hendry at the commentary table, with Hendry getting up then and looking at Cody Rhodes like it was his fault. Anyway, he slaps him, Rhodes slaps him, he slaps him back, and that tells him to get back in the ring, and that Cody Rhodes gets back in the ring to only get DDT'd, only for a 2 count anyway. And then Cody Rhodes gets his mask out, the mask that he wore when he was dashing Cody Rhodes and when he broke his nose, and he had to protect it with the mask on and everything. Fantastic back in those days in the WWE. He's got that anyway, but the referee takes it off him, and with the distraction of that, he rolls him up, but only the 2 count, and Cody Rhodes was this close to winning the WCPW Heavyweight Championship for only Connors to roll him up himself, pull on the tights. 1, 2, 3. That's twice now we've seen Cody Rhodes lose 2 heavyweight championship matches. I'll talk about the other one in a minute. But unbelievable. I really thought Cody Rhodes might actually win this match. Bit of a shame really. But although both men, top class athletes, Joseph Connors is a good world heavyweight champion, so and see how long it lasts. I more than likely would have thought he would lose his child championship now to Joe Hendry at True Legacy, which I don't know when that is actually. I'll have to look at that. But their next pay-per-view is at True Legacy. Anyway, no love lost anyway between Hendry and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes showing that he has still got very much respect for Joe Hendry in the ring as well. So it's just going to be Kurt Angle versus Cody Rhodes in a singles match at True Legacy, and it will be Joseph Connors defending the WCPW Heavyweight Championship against Joe Hendry at True Legacy. Yes, WCPW. So moving on to some results that I've had over from this past weekend. Pro Wrestling Chaos from this past weekend. Team Mercy had beaten Team Car. Bino had beaten Oliver Sudden. Richie Edwards had beaten Panda Mask 2. Wild Boar had defended and retained the Heavyweight Championship against Hardcore Holly, with Jimmy Havoc coming out and hitting the Acid Rainmaker on board, and then telling him that he is no longer the GM anymore and that he has named himself the #1 contender. Also we had Adam Rose defeat Danny Jones, and also for the first ever Knights of Chaos in a ladder match, the Steel Dragons had defeated Scotty Essex and Tom Hawkins to become the first ever Knights of Chaos. And what a cracking ladder match that must have been as well. Also, in South East Wrestling that was on in Kent over this past weekend, Eddie Ryan had defended the title and defeated Chris Masters, former WWE superstar. I saw some of the pictures on Facebook and stuff. Looked like a cracking match. Much respect to the both of you guys there. Pro Wrestling Pride now that had an event on Sunday the 30th. The results here: PJ Jones had defeated Ashley Dunn. The Pride Tag Team Championships, the Magnums, to go up against the champions, the House of Bones, Lomax and Gideon, with special guest enforcer Scott Hall. Now, Scott Hall had also told the UK Dominator and Bane to stay backstage, so it was going to be a 2-on-2 contest. And your winners and new tag team champions, the Magnums. Congratulations, guys. Fantastic stuff there. We had a Pride Women's Champion, Nadia Shropshire. Congratulations to you. The Pride Catch Division Championship in a TLC match. Champion Ultimo Tiger to defend against Joshua Knott and Kelly Six. Now, bearing in mind, I found out that Ultimo Tiger had been handcuffed to the ropes, which left Kelly Six to apparently crawl back into the ring to get the pinfall. So he had ended up pinning Joshua Knott, with Ultimo Tiger not getting involved in the pin there and losing the title. And congratulations to you, Kelly Six, there for winning the championship. Also, Adam Rose had defeated Chuck Cyrus. And also the huge 6-man elimination hardcore match for the Pride Heavyweight Championship. Eddie Ryan defending the title against Bram, Doug Williams, Chris Andrews, John Harding, James Baker. Now, as far as I'm aware, it came down to the last two people, which was Bram and Chris Andrews. But Bram had got the victory, walks out with the championship, the Pride Heavyweight Champion. Also, as far as I know as well, the House of Bones, Lomax and Gideon took out Eddie Ryan, as far as I know as well, in that match. So I don't know what happened there. If you were there for any of those events, let us know here on AWT on Facebook. Also, Progress Wrestling, when men throw men at men. Now, if you watch Progress Wrestling, I did. It was a cracking event. We had the Hunter brothers going up against the New Nation. They beat the New Nation. Also, the Progression series, round 1 for the women. Ginny had beaten Holly Allen to advance. Paul Robinson defeated William Eva. Also, the South Pacific Power Trip had defeated the Shiftlifters in a tables match. The Progress Atlas Championship as well. Rampage Brown defeating Bad Bones, retaining the championship. Also a #1 contenders match, Matt Cross versus Mark Andrews. And of course the huge triple threat match for the Progress Heavyweight Championship. Champion Mark Haskins defeated Jimmy Havoc and Matthew Scott. But at the end of that show, we had a bit of a shocker, as Mark Haskins had left the belt in the middle of the ring and then walked off. Now, it seems to have come down to the point where Mark Haskins is injured, and he has been injured for a while with his neck injury, so obviously the extent of the injury was a lot more serious than we thought. But Progress Wrestling and Fight Nation Wrestling have announced that he has vacated their championships, and this is what they're planning to do. So with Progress Wrestling, at their next event, Nixon Newell versus Kate Harvey in the Progression series, which is still happening. Now, with these other matches that they've got, the winners of all of these matches will go into a huge 7-man elimination match for the Progress Heavyweight Championship. So we've got William Eva versus Joe Coffey, the Hunter brothers versus the South Pacific Power Trip, the Tag Team Championship match, British Strong Style defending their titles against the London Riots. Also, Will Ospreay is back to go against debut of Matt Riddle, and Jimmy Havoc versus Marty Scott. Now, like I said, all the winners of these matches will be going into a huge 7-man elimination match to determine who will be the next Progress champion. It's a real shame that this has happened, but these things happen. Unfortunately, injuries happen. We do wish Mark Haskins a very speedy recovery. Also, with Fight Nation, they said that they were going to do 2 semi-final matches, so they'll be picking 4 superstars, and the 2 winners of those matches will go on to face for the British Fight Nation Heavyweight Championship. I imagine this is on the 19th at Future of Fight. The guy said the 9th on the video, I think that's what he said, but that's not what the event says. But it looks like we will be crowning 2 new champions in the future. So some upcoming events that we've got coming up for you over the next couple of months and all the way through November. 4FW Forefront Wrestling have an event on Saturday the 5th of November at the Marlborough Town Hall. No card just as yet. I will be updating you, I imagine, on the way through. At least I think there's one on the 5th of November. That's what I saw on their page anyway. Pro Evolution Wrestling have got an event as well on the 12th of November, Saturday, at Trowbridge Civic Centre, and also one on Saturday the 19th of November as well. Also, PWA, Plymouth Wrestling Association, their event is called Showdown, and their event is on Sunday the 13th of November at the Plymouth School of Creative Arts. Now, I've got a bit of a card here. We've got Grayson Rivas defending the British Championship against Max Alexandra. We've also got the Heavyweight Championship on the line, Tyler Hawke defending against Robin the Bull Limkey. And also to appear PJ Jones, John Harding, UK Dominator, Kelly Six, Chuck Shires, and much, much more going on there in Plymouth Wrestling Association. Also, Sunday the 20th of November, Pro Wrestling Pride have got their next event, and it's called the Road to Heroes and Legends. Still to be announced with everything else there on card and everything else that's going on there in Pride Wrestling. Big League Wrestling on Sunday the 20th of November at the Exeter Corn Exchange. This is a great one. This is their card. You got a singles match, Lion Kid versus Josh Bowden, Dave Mastiff versus Chris Andrews, and of course the first ever Big League World Heavyweight Championship match, and it's Mr. Anderson versus MVP. What a cracking match that is, to crown the first ever Big League Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Very, very looking forward to that, and plus much, much more on their card as well. Now I've got an update here. I have a match update, an exclusive match update, and this is for UPW Ultimate Pro Wrestling Live by the Sword. Their next event is, and that is on the 25th of November at the Riviera Hotel in Weymouth. Now, one match has been announced from this past Monday that you can find out on UPW Facebook, and it will be the British Triangle Championships. All three members of the Swords of Essex, Paul Robinson, Scotty Essex Wainwright and Will Ospreay, will be defending those titles against Scott and Joe, the Brothers Orr, and their partner, Bruce. Fantastic. What a great announcement that was this past Monday. Very, very looking forward to this event. It's going to be a cracking main event. And also the exclusive match that I have for you that's also happening on this event, it will be Dirty Dick Riley versus the Wonder Kid, Johnny Storm. Fantastic. I very, very appreciated here from UPW for letting me do that. Love you guys. Thank you very much. Now also, some disturbing news, unfortunately. So we're going to move on here to some news here. Now, Hope Wrestling had put a video up yesterday, or 15 hours ago, on Monday, sorry, saying that the Boogeyman wasn't coming and that there was a whole scenario over this. This is pure sickening. I cannot understand why anybody would want to do this, being in the position that he's in, and want to steal money and piss everybody off. But I tell you what, Harvey has got this video. Check this video out.
Basically, Boogeyman, this whole saga began obviously in September when we were offered having Boogeyman on the shows by Pride Wrestling down in Devon, who are good guys. They wanted to bring him in for the Sunday. I said I'd have him for the Friday. We ended up booking him again for the Saturday. Well, so we're talking that the shows that he should have been in the UK for were Friday the 7th of October, Saturday the 8th of October, both should have been with Hope, and then he should have gone to Pro Wrestling Pride in Devon for the Sunday. We booked him the flight. He wasn't happy at taking a flight which meant he had to stop over anywhere, so we booked him quite an expensive flight, and he would have ended up coming into Manchester to land in the early hours of the 7th, meaning that he would have had to leave the USA by 6 p.m. their time, where he is, 6 p.m. their time on Thursday the 6th of October. Now, that made it, his time I think made it something like 11 o'clock UK time. He was coming into Manchester Airport. Obviously, I am very friendly with Magic Mark, so I asked Magic Mark if it'd be alright if I went up the night before, stay in Manchester, get up really early, pick him up from Manchester Airport, bring him back, obviously, so he's got the full day with someone with him, didn't have to worry about looking after himself or anything. Sat in Manchester, literally just got to Magic Mark's, and Mark will tell you this, literally just as I pulled up outside Magic Mark's, I was added into a group chat conversation between Naomi from Pride and Steve Stasiak, who is the booker of bookprowrestlers.com. Steve and Naomi were having a conversation that Naomi added me in, so I'd never dealt with Steve at this time, hadn't even heard his name. Steve's message to Naomi said, we cannot confirm whether or not Boogeyman has boarded his flight. I've been unable to get hold of him. He may be on the flight, he may not. No, I haven't been able to get hold of him for 48 hours. Obviously, this rang alarm bells with us, but I mean, what more could we do? I didn't get any sleep that night at all. We tried literally everyone we could to see if we could find that. We tried ringing the airline. There was nothing. We tried. I mean, they won't give information out for shit. It doesn't matter what you say to them, what you ask. They won't tell you if you boarded the plane or not. So I had no choice really but to suck it up and sit in Manchester on the hope that Magic Mark was on the plane. Sometimes I wish he was on a plane somewhere else. We set up. We tried to get other guys in if Boogeyman wasn't coming as a sort of a safe fail, but it didn't come off. There was no one who could come at such short notice and get there. So I got up really early, went to the airport, waited in Manchester for a good 5 hours, waiting until everybody from that flight that he should have been on had left. Asked all the guys at the airport, said, look, is there anybody left? Is there anybody stuck in customs? Because occasionally when the Americans come in, they do get held up at customs. Nobody. He wasn't on the flight. Having then trawled through his own, I managed to locate his own personal Facebook, which is obviously under his real name, Marty Wright. Not friends with him on here. I'm blocked now, but I wasn't friends with him at the time either. What I did was have a look on his Facebook, and I came across a little workout video that I'm sure is still on there for anyone that is friends with him or anybody else that's following. He doesn't seem very bright to me, so he won't have deleted it, but I've got a copy of it and screenshots of the times it went up anyway. But there was a workout video that went workout train with Boogie, and apparently this is a regular weekly fitness class that he runs himself in his hometown of Denver, and that starts at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night, his time, 1 hour after he should have been on the plane to the UK. Essentially, he never fucking intended to get on that plane. The guy had asked for deposits from us. He was sent hefty deposits. Obviously, I had him for 2 nights. So he was sent $550 worth of deposit, which obviously is what we're trying to get back, the expense of the flight and things as well. But the long and short of it is he never intended to get on the plane. He wouldn't answer the agent, wouldn't answer the phone to the agent. We spent all night with the agent trying to get in contact with him. Couldn't get in touch with him at all. So literally we had no way of knowing if he was on the plane or not. Obviously the suspicion was that he probably wasn't. And once I'd waited at the airport, then found that video on his personal Facebook, it was pretty clear that he'd never intended to get on the plane anyway. So the first excuse we hear is he was a bit worried to fly. Obviously this is the time that the hurricane was going on in the States, which was over Florida way. Denver is nowhere fucking near Florida, for anybody who's not familiar with the geography of America. So the hurricane did not affect anything in Denver whatsoever. His plane took off at the correct time. It landed in Manchester at the correct time. There were no problems with the flight. As far as I'm aware, there wasn't even any turbulence. If somebody farted on that plane, it didn't shake it. That plane got off, landed at exactly the time it should have done. He just wasn't on it. So that was the first excuse we had, was that he'd been worried to fly. The next excuse we got, which was about a day later, was that the hurricane had devastated his family, which was a tweet that he put out himself, saying that the hurricane had affected his family massively. Now, we heard 2 different stories with this one. One was that he got family in Florida, which is obviously where the hurricane hit. One was that his family lived in New York. So the thing with Boogeyman is he tends to contradict himself. So he doesn't seem very bright. He contradicts himself an awful lot. So we'd heard that the hurricane. Obviously, we're not gonna call the guy a liar at this stage. If the hurricane had affected his family, then obviously I feel for anybody who is stuck in that situation. But as it stands, that was a flat out lie. The guy was looking for attention, looking for an excuse. That was a lie. It transpired that he did speak to the agent, and he promised the agent that he would return the money. This is like 3 or 4 days after we've been trying to get hold of him. Tells the agent that he will return the money by Sunday. So we're now talking Sunday the 16th of October. Obviously no money came. I got in touch with him myself on Facebook as well and asked him to resend the money. told him that I wasn't very happy about what he'd done. He called me on Facebook call. He actually called me. The boogeyman phoned me. This is the only time I've actually spoken to the guy in person, and he gave me a load of excuses, a load of bullshit, saying that he's sorry, he'd been away all week, he'd been in New York with his father who was ill. So no mention of the hurricane at all, but his father was ill in New York, and he'd been unable to leave the hospital for 2 or 3 days. So he tried to play that card on me, try and say, oh no, my dad's ill, I couldn't get to a bank, I haven't been able to do it yet, I promise you I'll do it. And the next deadline he gave was Wednesday the 19th. So no mention of his hurricane or anything like this in Florida whatsoever. His dad is apparently in New York, and Boogeyman had been in New York. Now it's weird because he can't be very bright, because all it takes is you just look at his own personal Facebook, and you can see on his own personal Facebook that he was all over the shop that week. He was in and out of different towns, and there was nothing wrong. If there was anything wrong with his father at the time, that certainly wasn't what he was doing. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say his father's not ill, because if he is, that's a really nasty thing to say. I've got no way of knowing whether that's true or not. But there's no way that he was sat at the hospital with him for that period of time. So he assured me he'd pay it back. He asked me to stop the tweets, because we'd obviously started the tweets on that Sunday when there'd been no money coming back. We thought people should know, because that's the second deadline that he'd missed. He said he was sorry, that he fully intended to give the money back, etc. But obviously it's never come. So we move forward, obviously, to the sick father in New York and things, and we've been obviously tweeting out, and you can see that we've been trying to get this money back for quite a while now. And Monday the 24th arrived, and Steve Stasiak, the agent, finally gets in contact with him after a weekend again, and he tells Steve that his father has passed away. Boogeyman says to Steve Stasiak that his father has died, and that is why he has not been able to send the money back yet, that he still thoroughly intends to send it back, that it will be later in the week when he does it. But he thoroughly intends to send the money back. Obviously, we've got this again from Steve Stasiak, all screenshotted that we've got, things like that. I have missed another bit out, actually. There was a call, actually, because he initially had gone onto Twitter when he was defending himself, saying that he hadn't had any deposit monies whatsoever. It was all a lie. There was no deposit money sent to Boogeyman at all. We had a receipt sent to us by the agents to say that they passed the money on, and his other agent, a guy called Charles Stars, or Nathan Charles, I can't really work out what his real name's supposed to be, he telephoned Boogeyman, and we have a copy of this conversation, which apparently for legal reasons it's not advisable for me to put out anywhere, but we have a copy of this phone conversation between Nathan Charles and Boogeyman, where he's making excuses again, saying, oh yeah, Nathan, no, I'm sorry, man, yeah, I promise I'll take care of it this week. I've just been really busy with my dad ill and things like that. So yeah, we've got this conversation as well, just to prove this was something that the agents took, because they were pissed off as well that he basically turned around on Twitter and said that he didn't receive any deposit monies at all. Obviously, I've had a conversation with him on Facebook as well. I've got a screenshot that we've put up before of this $550 that he said he promised me that he would return. So anyway, back to the Monday the 24th. So the Boogeyman tells Steve Stasiak that his father has passed away. Now, I have two parents who are elderly, who are in very ill health and have been in and out of hospital several times over the past couple of years. Nothing pisses me off more than somebody using the excuse of having a sick relative to get out of doing what they should be doing. So Boogeyman tells Steve Stasiak on Monday the 24th of October that his father has passed away, and that is the reason why he hasn't paid our money back yet. That he will be doing it still. He claims that he's never said he wouldn't pay our money back, but that he would be doing it later on that week. Wednesday the 26th, Steve Stasiak contacts him again, and Boogeyman clearly forgot that he'd actually bullshitted and said that his father had passed away. He told Steve Stasiak that he was off to visit his father in hospital. So, I'm sorry, if somebody dies, unless they're fucking Jesus, they don't get resurrected. Boogeyman, Marty Wright, you are a fucking liar.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking, and thank you very much for Harvey Dale and Her Wrestling for letting me use this on Andrew's Wrestling Talk. Make sure you do share this around, hashtag WWE into it if he does turn up on Monday Night Raw. I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, absolutely shocking really. I can't believe that something like this would even happen, but I hope you guys get it sorted and never hire this man again. By the way, he's a completely terrible wrestler and always has been. And it's probably why WWE don't even have him in the ring. He has been there on Swerved as well, doing his Swerve thing. So, just shocking, absolutely shocking. A little bit more of bad news as well here in wrestling. TNA are losing their contract with Challenge at the end of the year. There will be no more TNA on Challenge from January onwards. Now this doesn't surprise me, as TNA is falling apart at the moment. They probably owe them a bucket load of money. Hiding the fact that they've got debts and everything is not the way to be going, and such a great company that's been a great company over the years is really going down the pan. But it does mean that if it does go down the pan, a lot of the stars will more than likely make their efforts to come over here, because that's what they do. Plus, a lot of them do it for the wrestling and not the money, unlike the Boogeyman. Yes, not the way to be doing it at all. Also, we had Hell in the Cell this past week on Sunday. Now, I didn't think it was that bad at all. Out of 10, I gave it a 7. I didn't think it's too bad. I'd like to hear what you guys thought about it. Let me know what you rank your 3 Hell in the Cell matches in as well. For me, number 3, Roman Reigns and Rusev. Number 2, Sasha and Charlotte. And number 1, Rollins and Owens. As much as both the women's one and Rollins and Owens was very, very close of being number 1, but there was a lot going on in that women's Hell in the Cell. And I think there's an injury there on Sasha Banks as well. Somebody was supposed to go through a table. It didn't happen either. It was a little botched towards the end, but still, it was still a great show. So it was better than No Mercy, and it was also better than Night of Champions. So you've got to give them that. Always give them that. Also, I'd like to know what your favourite Hell in a Cell was as well. Leave your comments on Facebook underneath the video on here. Now, my favourite Hell in a Cell match has to be the first one with Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels and the debut of Kane. My ultimate number 1 Hell in a Cell match right there. Yes. Also, as well, do not forget to tune in to a Total Wrestling Show. The radio also on Sunday, 7 o'clock. You can watch them on Facebook. There's tags through there on Instagram as well, the live chat. You can also listen to it on TotalWrestlingShow.com. Believe me, watch them, listen to them. They are fantastic. Great guys, great show. And I will be there next year for their 6th anniversary. Awesome. Cannot wait for that. And that is all I have for you here. So I have been your host, Carl Andrews. Don't forget to share me around on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Share me around on Facebook. And I will see you next time for episode 7. Good night.
Impacts I never see, I could never